We live inside a rhythm that was never meant for us. It's called the 1260 frequency, a mechanical, sterile clockwork that governs the modern age. This artificial timing keeps human consciousness fragmented and locked in a perpetual cycle of production and exhaustion. But beneath that mechanical grind, a different architecture is waiting. The 1320 synchronic order is an older, organic rhythm. Stepping into this frequency is the first requirement for Earth to transition from a dying biosphere into a unified thinking layer. Looking at this handwritten framework, we see data points of the living myth experiment. It breaks down 9 alchemical spheres, mapping definitions like treating matter as amalgamation and mind as the active force to dissolve. These private diary entries and voice records serve a very specific function. By documenting these insights, the author creates a bridge, taking fifth-dimensional spiritual realizations and forcing them to ground into the mundane, material reality of the third dimension. Grounding that energy requires clearing out centuries of ancestral static. Within specific royal bloodlines lies a dormant energy referred to as the sleeping phoenix. This energy carries heavy, inherited burdens from previous generations that must be rewritten with a clean slate code before cosmic evolution can happen. On one side of this lineage sits the Ptolemaic tradition. This relief depicts the goddess Isis, reflecting the deep Egyptian roots of the bloodline. Here, the focus is on the inner union, the alchemical marriage of opposites within the soul that defined the goddess-centric reign of figures like Cleopatra. Countering that feminine mysticism is the Roman influence. This marble bust represents the imperial, structured forces of the Mediterranean. It is the rigid, martial architecture that historically collided with the Ptolemaic world and shaped the other half of this royal DNA. Reclaiming this dual history serves a highly practical purpose. It allows the individual to identify their ancestors' karmic static, isolate it, and separate it from the true, clear signal of their own soul. This notebook page maps out the exact mechanics for clearing that static. The April 2026 full pink moon offers a rare cosmic window, and this circular zodiac psyche diagram charts how to use that specific lunar energy to ground the mind and clear away all resistance. Navigating this window requires strict temporal tracking using the dream spell calendar. The central architecture here is governed by Kin 143, known as the blue cosmic night, a necessary threshold for consciousness to enter and measure the dream. This entry tracks the shift directly. We see the flow of energy moving from an unmasked state of now right into the 9th seal, marked here as Kin 209, the red spectral moon. Because this portal work is highly sensitive, defense protocols are mandated. This is the 4th pentacle of the moon, an energetic technology invoked to protect the practitioner from evil sources and spiritual injury, calling upon the angel Sophial to secure the perimeter. When you combine the lunar timing, the calendar tracking, and the pentacle, you generate a highly tuned frequency shield. Inside that protected space, the dreamer can safely initiate the Great Exchange, sharing light to finally dispel the gathering dark. To prevent these spiritual experiences from devolving into fantasy loops, the system relies on an embodiment protocol. This is a rigorous 5-step grounding process that takes a chaotic, high-frequency signal and forces it into a single concrete physical movement, like making one phone call or writing exactly one page. Once grounded, the outputs of the portal become clear. Telepathic channeling begins to translate into what is described as light language, a multi-dimensional communication that serves as the architectural blueprint for the Third Temple plans. The notes reveal the source of this language. This specific journal entry traces the author's galactic heritage back to a 12-dimensional existence, directly linking their DNA to the blue beings of the Andromedan High Council. The protocol demands real-world verification, and the results are incredibly specific. During a 10-day portal window, the author documented receiving constant telepathic flashes of genius, culminating in the sudden physical manifestation of 6 rare pre-1930s books. These physical outputs provide a feedback loop between the internal ritual and the mundane world. They suggest that the living myth operates as a practical system for translating ancestral research into tangible results. The execution of the Clean Slate ritual in April 2026 triggers a much larger collapse. It signals the dismantling of the old systems, the systemic, oppressive Roman machine that spent centuries attempting to erase these ancient royal lineages from history. For centuries, this imperial standard, epitomized by Emperor Augustus, dominated the narrative. It was a regime defined by spite, utilizing damnatio memoriae to systematically wipe the goddess-centric Ptolemaic bloodline from the collective memory. That ancient weight is finally countered by the uprising of Venus. This celestial reset acts as a massive energetic trigger, breaking the imperial hold and initiating a multi-year cycle of manifestation that completes its final re-entry in 2032. Clearing the inherited burdens of a single bloodline provides a specific protocol for navigating these ancient imperial polarities. By documenting this process, the author establishes a model for identifying and separating one's own true signal from the historical static of the matrix. The work culminates in the emergence of the Noosphere. This is Earth's thinking layer, where the species begins to operate as a single telepathic entity known as Homo Noosphere. This planetary transition requires a disciplined pilgrimage away from the sterile robot culture of the 1260 timeline and into a new synchronic order where time is no longer money but art. This shift is not a mere theoretical concept. The living myth experiment demonstrates that our own private records and rituals are the actual engine that will build the second creation.